This interview is brought to you by Full Sail University. So happy to be joined by Josh Bridge, the executive producer on Dead Rising 3.
Hello.
So I've got a chance to play it, and we're watching it right now. This is a Dead Rising game.
Yes.
I know that you guys had gotten a little bit of static over, maybe that it had taken away that absolutely ridiculous quality, but
that's fine.
Everything on display here right now
yes.
would confirm. What to you is the most important thing to keep it as a Dead Rising game and something that honors the other two installments?
It's the freedom to play how you want. We really tried to make sure that there was an even wider variety of ridiculous and going even further to the absurd, but also going further also if you want to actually, play a zombie game and feel like you're being, like this is actually pretty cool and actually have that wider range. So we went for a look that was more gritty and more realistic. And my hope is that if you like to kind of do crazy things, that juxtaposition's even more absurd than ever before.
There's something about the color tone. I would love to know sort of how you could explain the palette, but that mixed with the shark head and the jazz hands, gloves, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when we looked at what we did before in Dead Rising, we just the palette was very blown out, right? A lot of purple, right? And if you look at the box covers of what we did for the covers of Dead Rising, they get more and more colorful. Like they had more and more saturated color to the point I think it was just almost all purple. And our art director, Alan Jarvie, was just like, no purple. It feels like we're getting tired. It feels like it doesn't feel fresh anymore, right?
It's not a game for a 60-year-old woman somewhere in Minnesota.
Exactly. So when we looked at the game, it's like, we want to actually have a more gritty, realistic sort of feel. And a lot of that had to do with not making time the enemy. As soon as you don't make time the enemy, it's like, okay, what's the enemy? Zombies.
Yeah.
Am I really afraid of these cartoony zombies? No. So let's start getting that sort of happening where you actually start getting some fear. There's a horror and a comedy, and there's more balance between the two.
So let's talk about that time as an enemy, because that was both one of the most compelling and one of the most frustrating aspects of the other two Dead Rising games, in particular the first one. How does that work in this game, and how generous are you to the player?
So we're incredibly generous to the player. If they want to just play, normal story mode, you're not going to be punished about running out of time. It's about completion, right? Take your time, see the game, hit those main missions, take your time with them. There's a whole bunch of side missions and all these other weapons you can find, and just keep going. And that's a very, that's a completionist game, and that's awesome. But if you loved the permanency of your choice and the risk of, where do I save? We have nightmare mode. And that's where you actually are pressured by time. You got to save in washrooms or porta potties now as well. And you don't have any checkpoints, no manual saves, nothing. And if you want to restart, you have to restart right to the beginning of the game. Versus normal mode, it's like, you know what? I missed some stuff in that last chapter. I'm going to restart the last chapter. And you can just rewind time, take all your player stats back, and just smaller restart increments if you want to.
I guess the one question I have is, and probably I'm not answering it in my question. When you sort of become that generous to the player, how do you start to guide them to sort of enjoy kind of, okay, I need to be scrappy, I need to think about, what my weapon choices are, or do I want to combo this, because I might lose it faster than if I kept one of the parts. You're taking out that sense of pressure, even though you are giving the player, they're relaxed and they can experiment more.
Yeah, the pressure comes from death. The fear of actually dying this time from zombies. And that was a big change for us, right? So before it was like zombies were never really a threat. If you got into a horde and you didn't have the best weapon, you're gonna take some beatings. But we actually really pushed the deadliness of the zombies. They're way more aggressive. They are the enemy, right? So you actually have to be prepared, and you're forced now to find weapons and defend yourself and survive. Find that food, start crafting better weapons, start crafting better vehicles to try to figure out how to survive. And that pressure is just, I need to make it across town. Oh my God, there's so many zombies out there, and especially in that area I need to go to. How am I going to figure out how to get there alive?
So I guess the thing is, death is now that much more available to the player.
Yes,
because
very much so, yeah.
You can start over from a checkpoint.
As opposed to time is the death.
So the, let's talk about the combos in it, because as you mentioned, you can combo vehicles.
Yes.
But also you can combo combos.
Yes, you can stack combos and keep going.
How do you, is all of this of your own invention, or is some of this even sort of procedural, by virtue of the game?
It's actually by our own invention that we guide you actually to which ingredients you need to create these combo weapons. And then you start finding more blueprints, and you start unlocking and the ability to create more and more of these. What we actually want to do is not just limit you to just the exact items, So there's a deeper leveling system now, right? Because that completionist sort of game of now there's a deeper game. Well, you need more control over how you level, and you can customize even that. I'm not limited to the exact ingredients. I just need the like ingredients, right? So I don't need just the sword. I can just use a butter knife, right? And you can start leveling up your ability to craft, and then create more and more. Virtually combine anything with anything anywhere if you want as a crafting sort of way of leveling up, and just really make some crazy stuff.
I mean, so did you guys just sit around for a year just coming up with just horrific ideas and of deadly implements?
Yes, absolutely. And it's awesome. It is awesome. Like this ultimate power shout, it's like, this is a multi-stack super combo. You just keep stacking items, and then just create this super yell, and it's just blowing out everything in the world.
So obviously, and it's evident right here. You can see how that sense of death from zombies is so evident. There are just that many zombies.
Yes, yeah.
Not technically, but how do you sort of allow for a game to have this many zombies? You're not hand placing them throughout the universe.
No, but we basically pour them out now. we figure out a way to actually get a lot of zombies in the world, and we don't go. We actually procedurally generate what they look like. So when you run that into that area, we essentially assemble them procedurally, so you don't end up with like clones of the same zombie, right? So, but of course we want variety. So if you're closer to the beachfront, you'll see some more bikini-clad zombies, right? Some like Owen Wilson-looking dudes with some like Bermuda shorts, And you go to the classier area, it'll be like a business dude zombie, So we want to make sure there's still the visual variety, but absolutely. I mean, this is something that we have built our technology from the ground up. Of like, it's all about the numbers of zombies and the variety within them, and that's how we've built our game. Always that zombies are the king.
And the missions. Obviously, we're just in the open world here right now. But when I was playing it, the missions seem to be a little more familiar to what you get from a lot of action games out there. They're sort of multi-tiered. They have a lot of heavy narrative in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That seems like a fairly significant change. How do you go in that direction and maintain the tone of Dead Rising, which is, look, here's a crazy person with a gun.
Well, that comes back down to like, I hope it looks like you're photobombing the game, right? So like, you can wear this crazy outfit like a shark's head and go in shirtless. Maybe wear wear a canary smuggler, get in there, and then it's the most poignant, dramatic scene. Someone is dying, let's say, and you're just in there looking completely absurd, right? And that tone is yours to control. And I want to make sure that was funny for you, as opposed to us trying to say, okay, get ready for the next gag, right?
Well, so but it also seems that you're trying to have missions that are unique in their gameplay. It isn't just you wrap some narrative over what you could probably do for yourself in the open world.
Yeah, and that's what was really important, is you go in and you problem solve it with the world, with the weapons, and how do you kind of get through that is your choice. And it's about creative expression. I want you to feel like you're in control of what kind of gameplay experience you want as you're going through this game, whether you're just sandboxing, whether you're trying to hit those main missions or those side missions. And it's essentially a toy for you to have fun with. And there's so many intersections of all these different toys coming together we haven't seen, and I can't wait to see what players do and start sharing, because I've yet to see. I keep forgetting how many weapons are in the game, and even us as developers, all the way to us getting so close to release, we're still seeing surprise intersections. Like, you can grab a piece of dynamite, you can stuff in a zombie's mouth, stand back and watch them blow up. But then we had a guy on our team, he just like, I can grab a zombie and swing him around with these like skill moves. So I'm gonna put the dynamite in his mouth first, grab him, and swing around and throw him into the crowd. And then he'd basically have a zombie bomb that goes off and just creates this big explosion. And I was like, we didn't expect that, that's awesome. Let's show everyone that. And there we go, I think we're gonna do it. We're gonna, why not?
So this is using Kinect. There are audio cues.
Yes,
but obviously, because we're in a loud place, it's been turned off.
Way too loud in here.
You have some motion controls. One of the key ones seems to be how you handle getting a zombie off of you.
Yeah, I mean, we've been looking at sort of like, there he goes, sorry. Dynamite's in his mouth, boom, just blew up in his face. So we've been looking at sort of like those moments where you kind of get attacked by an enemy, and then you have to kind of like, rapidly press a button or like wiggle a stick, and we were like, we got to evolve this, right? So I looked at Kinect as a way of like, how can I actually get an experience that I don't feel like I'm interrupted in my flow? And I look at those button games sort of as that sometimes. So I was like, let's just have this controller in hand and get grabbed by a zombie. What's the natural thing your body does? And it's like, I do this.
Right.
So got the Kinect hooked up, zombie grabs you, and you just push him off. And you don't have to break the experience, and it just feels really natural. And it's hard to actually go back now, actually, after using it so much. That was really important for us to hit something that was just in the moment to moment, and not necessarily, let's go do the Kinect miniature game. I want to actually get something that was just looping all the time.
And then, assuming that the microphone was turned on, what voice commands would affect the game?
Well, I mean, the voice commands are, what we thought was funny is, we have these bosses and these crazy psychos in the game, and we're kind of thinking, it's like, you know what would you, let's say you yelled out something that made them upset, and have that affect gameplay. Like, yeah, let's do that. So we have these 7 deadly sins is where we use our inspiration for our psychos. And we're like, okay, gluttony. What would, it's this big heavy set woman. And it's like, okay, if you yell out, you're fat. She'll just go nuts, right? So if you just yell it out, she just starts spinning around, and it gives you an opportunity to go in there and just, bludgeon her.
And is that, I mean, does the game telegraph that to the player, or is that for the player to discover?
We want to telegraph it. Some of it is through discovery, but we want to telegraph if you had experienced it. And then, survivors are a big part of the game, and they're not about babysitting like escort missions. They actually will fight with you to their death, and they'll always follow you around. And now you can, with the Kinect enabled, the sensor enabled, you just point at the screen, and you'll actually see an indication of where they need to go, and then you just say the word, go there, or attack that, or scavenge, and they'll go pick up items for you.
So my final question is, you are a launch game with the Xbox One.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's it, I mean, is that exciting, or is there a sense of a lot of pressure? Because it's not just your game, you're helping define the system.
Yes, I know, it's all of it. It's exciting, it's scary, and a huge amount of pressure, and it's just a huge honor as well. We partnering with Microsoft and having the opportunity to sort of be in a similar position with Dead Rising 1 was with the Xbox 360, and trying to define what does it mean for next generation of games? Where are we seeing those evolutions? And I'm seeing that in our second screen experiences, like what we've been doing with Smart Glass. I'm seeing that what we just mentioned with Kinect, and something as simple as the evolution of just like those interactions with characters, as well as just the scale and depth. It's a bigger world. It's Dead Rising 1 and 2 fits in Dead Rising 3 several times over. Huge scale blown out, but we're maintaining that density and depth, and it just feels like a bigger, larger, deeper game for you to experience.
All right, well, obviously this comes out on November 22nd with the launch of the Xbox One. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Adam.
Let's take a moment to thank our sponsor, Full Sail University. Of course, you enjoy playing games, but have you ever thought about making them? Whether you're interested in programming, art and animation, story creation, or even producing games, there's a game degree program at Full Sail University that fits your needs. Their campus is equipped with professional level game studios and labs, where you can work with teams of peers to create playable games from start to finish. And if you're looking for an online program, Full Sail Game Art and Game Design Bachelor's degree programs allow you to earn your degree from anywhere in the world. Plus, Full Sail grads have worked on titles like Red Dead Redemption, the Call of Duty series, and more. You can learn more and support Red3 Games at fullsail.edu/Red3Games.